prime hybrid leg extension. It's a great piece. Just set it up nice and light. If it's your first time using it, get a good feel for it. You got the cam on here, which will adjust the resistance through the movement, so you can go more stretched position, more contracted position, so it can make it more difficult at the bottom of the movement when the muscles are lengthened, or the top. My recommendation is starting on number 1. I like this in number 5. It's a little harder at the bottom, but it's still harder at the top. This is a contracted position focused exercise, so it is built and there to target the quads in the contracted position when your knee is extended. So setup on this one is not too difficult. We've got the pivot point on the machine here, so we want our knees to be relatively in line with this pivot point. We don't want them too far forwards or too far back, and we don't want this shin pad to be all the way up your shin, close to your knee, or on your feet. Now the setting position is going to be adjusted based on that, unless you go on advanced tech and you want to lie back. If you're new to this machine, I would recommend just setting up the seat position as you normally would, just sitting upright, get the knee position right. Once you get good at that, then you can focus on getting a little bit more length for the rec fems. Like I said, it's a bit more of an advanced movement. Just make sure you are comfortable with the machine first and locking yourself into position. And we do have on this machine, I've put some belts on them so you can lock yourself in, which just reduces the requirement for you using the handles, which means that you can just focus, instead of holding yourself down when you're going really heavy, just focus on your quads. This pulls you down, so it stops the hips from lifting. If the hips are lifting, it's reducing the range of motion. So that's why we have this seat belt, and I'll show you guys how to set up now. I'm gonna use this. This is the HUSLA pad. This is HUSLA's invention, and this increases the range of motion further, so we're getting a lot more knee bend in the movement. And you do have the points here where you can adjust this into less range of motion and more range of motion, and so this pad goes on top and increases that range of motion further. So you can imagine the bend at the knee that you will have with that pad on. When you're using this pad all the way back in setting number A, you're going to start it out here and get into position first. Now the first thing we want to make sure of, from jumping into this piece, I'm going to leave my right leg out of it. We want to make sure that this isn't on our feet and it's not rotated down like that. We want this pretty much in line with the shin, so perpendicular to the shin. If you were to draw a T here, it would run down the center of this, and the T would be your shin. Now this needs to go up 1 click for me. I like to use my foot here to sort of lock it in position, and then setting up is as easy as leaning forwards, ripping it back into setting number A. Again, making sure this is nice and perpendicular to the shin, that T that you're looking for. And once you're set up well, you're ready to go. So setting position here, doesn't matter if you're all the way up or a little bit back, as long as you're feeling nice and locked in. And knee, as you can see, is in line with this. And then you've got the seat belt, which runs through the buckle at the bottom, old school buckle, and then through the top. And then all you got to do from here is just lock it down, and it's locked in. Start on 1. I like number 5. Everyone's different. See what you prefer and go from there. Now, handles, you can use them if you're not using the seatbelt. If you're using the seatbelt, you got it locked down nicely. You probably won't need the handles. So I'm going to demonstrate it with my hands there, but I'm probably not going to be using them. Let's get a bit more quad into that. So I want to get as much range. If you're using this pad, we want to get into as much of a stretch position as possible. No point adding the pad and finishing the exercise here and doing half reps. Make sure you get all that extra range of motion that you can get, that the pad allows for, and then getting as much into the contracted position as possible, squeezing the quads. And again, with the seat belt, I don't need to use the handles. They're locking my bum down onto the seat. You can imagine the bum lifting here will just increase the angle here, reducing the range of motion, so we don't want that. Now, more advanced way of doing things, which has some research has shown that it can be beneficial for the rec fem, is lying back a bit further, so you're extending the hips. Imagine when you're standing, hips being a bit more extended. You can get a bit more length out of the rec fem, which is the middle muscle here. It's the only muscle that crosses the hip. It's the only muscle that is actually lengthened via hip extension. Controversial, but it's factual. The rec fem is the only muscle that crosses the hips. So that's the only muscle you'll be getting extra length on. The pad will give you length on all quad muscles. So lying back, again, seatbelt. Imagine I've done the seatbelt up and you're just doing the exact same thing. With the lying back position, it can be sort of harder to sort of lock yourself from sliding forwards or backwards. So get a feel for this machine before you go back and lie back and make the exercise a little bit more difficult. But the same stuff happens here. Pain is beauty.
Beauty is pain.
Beauty is pain, same thing. I've been saying it wrong for 10 years. Guys, enjoy, train hard.